4 store when I said that, get the power. You know. Okay. I want to get bust over the goddamn head. I just think what y'all. Yeah. But I wasn't when I told you she went off and beat me pretty bad that other week. Shit like that. But anyway, what was I talking about? Anyway. Ben Shabbat said there was another person in the room. When he say so-called her grandson set the room on fire. And she was trying to tell the people this, and she said this a couple times before she made the transition. Well, Marvin Gaye said the same thing. It was another person in the room. That's what he told me. That was in November of 2003. See, I document these things. And I document these things when I give you the date. November 2003, the spiritual sister was a sister named Simone out in Los Angeles. See, so this is how we do in the spirit world. So you don't think it's some old kooky shit. Oh, my mic fell off? Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So anyway, he said there was another person in the room when his so-called father supposed to have killed him. So it's always some setup shit. The same thing happened with Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke had a publishing company, a gospel label, and a soul label. And he had all the publishing rights. He was getting new artists to get their publishing rights. This is what, 1963? The Jews was like, hey, motherfucker, you ain't left us shit. Took him to the hotel, set that whole thing up, had the woman kill him and everything. You see what I'm saying? So they've been doing this thing for the longest. Now, Marvin came back recently. We've been seeing the billboards all over. This Marvin billboard, you need to hit Robert on this one. The Marvin billboard is the same equivalence of the Coretta Scott King thing that died. This is major shit. Somebody say, you know, I think Nas like, did it have to be Hennessy? You goddamn right it had to be Hennessy. What other nigga gonna put some shit up? There wasn't gonna be no Del Monte or no Camel Soup. He was a member of nightlife. You see what I'm saying? You see? It ain't gonna be no T.D. Jakes up there. So, yes, but it's spiritual. I'm up in Baltimore, doing election in Baltimore. I'm talking about this picture and these billboards, and like Brother Bob said, it looks mystical when we see it, riding on the freeway. So, soon as we get up, after I come out of the lecture, soon as we get to the billboard, the lights cut off. I said, well, that's a damn sign. We passed by, I said, there's Marvin, and as soon as we get there, it's like 2 in the morning because we did some other stuff, and the lights came cut off. And I said, oh, shit. I said, that was a sign. So when we got in touch with Marvin, I said, well, look, did you have any kind of influence in the aspect of the billboard? He said, exactly. I said, so, if I produce that on one of the pictures, will it be a talisman? He said, exactly, that's why I did it. So this is why we got this up here now. Now it's interesting in the spiritual. I want to read something to you. Y'all all right? I want to read something to you here. After Marvin died, we got I don't know how many we got. We might have 20, we might have 30. First come, first served. After Marvin died, this is a caption, a paragraph that came out on him the year after he died. So basically, he died in 1984. In 85, they had to put a paragraph, and in this paragraph, they had to put his whole career and his philosophy and his essence in one paragraph. So I chose that to put on this Marvin poster. And it says, Marvin was a tremendously gifted individual. He could compose, produce, play a variety of instruments, and sing with unmatched sincerity. During a career that spanned over 25 years, He helped define the parameters of modern pop music, influencing several generations of musicians and listeners alike. His What's Going On album opened the doors for so-called concept albums, demonstrating that you could make a social comment, that's a God realm there, and still have great music. Marvin showed us through the influences of one's voice, a song could increasingly be sensual without being lewd. Inflections of one voice. After a 7-year hiatus, he showed us through the persuasive and perseverance, and faith, and that dreams still could be possible. So in so many words, what this thing is talking about here is they encapsulated his whole career in one sentence or one paragraph, and I put this on this particular aspect as a talisman. So what this means here is, in the spirit realm, we have to learn how to read the spirit realm and not just think that everything is just everything and things don't have anything to do with, because we've been taught based on this religion that everything has to be based on whatever religious practice you're doing, and your contemporary people around you don't have no magical qualities about them. Now, I say that to say this about the particular music, the Marvin Gaye and the Phyllis Hyman thing that went down, and I say that to say this. I'm going to give you this right now. In the ancient world, before Jesus, you had, in the Roman world, you had Mithra, which was born on December the 25th, born in the cave on December the 25th, and that's where they stole the whole Jesus birthday from. In Egypt, they also can trace Horus's birthday, December the 25th, and these are energies, because we're talking about winter solstice, you see. So they worship Mithras, but they also worship a deity in Greece, which is a form of Horus, because he's a later day form of the god Pan. So how you break it down, you got pre-dynastic Egypt. Set is the pre-dynastic god of all time. Later on, in the dynastic world, Set became evil. But Set's attributes, one of Set's attributes came to Anubis, one of his attributes came to Tahuti, and another one came to Osiris. Another one came to Horus and also Bes. These are different aspects of Set. That's why you got a deity in Kemet called Horus Set, Heru Set. Now, Heru, this particular Set character travels up into Phoenicia, and the Phoenicians is the people who actually start early Greece, and that particular entity was named Pan. But I think that Pan entity comes from a pre-dynastic form of Kemet. The point I'm trying to make here is Pan later on becomes this messianic figure that they worship a couple of hundred years before Jesus, called Orpheus. And Orpheus plays a lyre, which is this string instrument. Now the story goes that he could soothe the savage beast with this lyre. Now follow me with this. Orpheus also has this particular woman that's snatched into the underworld. Because she dies, he goes to the underworld to get her back. They tell him that he could take his woman back if he goes through the steps of the underworld and plays this lyre, which is this harp-like thing. If he plays this lyre, and if he doesn't look back, you know how these stories pop up in the Bible. Lot is fleeing the city, and they tell him to go and don't look back. See how these stories, you know what I'm saying? Like Jesus is hung up for 3 days, but yet we got a goddess named Anana hung up for 3 days and dies for 3 days in hell, and hung on a meat hook for 3 days and then resurrect. And we get these later day stories and we think they're authentic. And that was a woman that did that shit. The resurrection was Inanna. There's a whole book, Inanna, God or Queen in heaven and earth. See what I'm saying? So now, He takes this lyre and he's playing this thing to get his woman. He go down and get his baby, and he's playing this lyre or this harp. And they said if you look back, she's gonna be snatched back into Hades. And I think he had one or two more steps and stuff, and he couldn't resist the temptation. He looked back, and his woman was lost forever. She went on back into Hades. That's the form of this god Orpheus. Now, it's interesting here because in 2000 they put out a second version of Jason and the Argonauts, which they just played last weekend on the Sci-Fi Channel again. You see? In the Jason and the Argonauts, because one of the tales is Orpheus is on the boat. Now, try to understand this, how this thing all comes together. Now, this is the great mystery on how the white people study mythology and pinpoint the people that they got to kill. Now, understand this. I produced a tape, I don't know the name of the shit now because I got so many, that I talked about in New York, that Jason gets these 50 gods or 50 champions in Greece, put them on a boat, sail to the end of the earth, Caucasus, you can get the Caucasoid from that, and to recover a golden fleece, and the golden fleece, which later on became a form of melanin and a form of our essence, the golden fleece in this land of Caucasus at the end of the earth. Well, if you're in the east, the end of the earth is America. The golden fleece is held by this riches, and when they get there, they say, no, these riches, the golden fleece, have kept our land strong, and our land has prospered based on these riches, or this golden fleece. You understand that? So, sounds like some of our energy that made America prosper. See, these mythology stories were actually prophetic in talking about, now, one of the entities that sailed to the end of the earth was Orpheus in America. So 2,000 years, or a couple of years before Greece, a couple of years before this Jesus cult springs up, they were worshiping Orpheus in Greece. Orpheus is this musician. And I said, there it is. I've been waiting for the last couple of years to find the ancient link on why they killed these people, and now I got it. Orpheus is known as the Messiah. Now it's interesting because there's a Sufi master, what's that guy's name? Something Akan. Ilya Akan said that the religion in the future will not be a religion, it will be a music. What's that beeping? What's that beeping? Oh, you want to pause for a minute? Somebody's cell phone done went crazy. All this modern technology and shit. So they said that the religion in the future will not be a religion. Oh, that's iPhone? Goddamn. Oh, okay. The religion in the future will not be a religion, it will be a music. Now the white boys are studying this mythology and said, wait a minute, on that boat that sailed to the ends of the earth, you see what I'm saying? It's just like masonry. Your boy, what's the Haim Abiff, hit in the head and drug to the ends of the earth. In the Hebrew mythology, Solomon is hit in the head and drugged to the ends of the earth also. Talking about America. In the Graham mythology, Camelot is America. The British got the shit from France and Ireland and made it into Britain. Brought up by the Moors. But on that ship that would sail to America, they said it took the best heroes, hero in Heru Horus, the Christ, of Greece. The best hero, now the story comes from Jason, the voyage of the Argo comes from the guy who did it, I can't think his name right now. Apollonius or Rose or whatever, was a curator at the Library of Alexander. So the story comes out of Egypt, of a people that would take some people, the best. Now look at this. They took the best heroes, put them on a boat, sail to the ends of the earth to get the golden fleece. The golden fleece is the spiritual attainment. So let's break it down. You take the best Africans, put them in the Western Hemisphere, because they have all of the talents of all the Africans around the world. You make a new people, and those people, the golden fleece means illumination. Those people will illuminate, will be the Christ. They will be the Christ. Now they study this shit because State University of New York put out a book called Alchemy and the Golden Fleece. And they took out of retirement a word so the white boy can say, fuck it, we don't need to use this word no more. It reveals too much. So the word was called chrysomelos, which melos meaning black, also meaning apple. You cut an apple open, it's got what in it? Melanin. Chrysomelos, which means the black Christ. They said, we don't need to use this word no more. So they'll get together, have a conference, just like they did the conference of Nicaea, and take that motherfucker out of existence. So there's a book called Alchemy. State University of New York put it out. It's still in print. You can get it at East West Bookstore in New York City. Still in print. SUNY, State University of New York. Alchemy and the Golden Fleece. And they took a word that was defunct. They say, well, they might have took this word out of existence about 100 years ago. They print the word back in the doggone book. Chrysomelos, which is the Golden Fleece. So the Christ, so they took these people, put them in a boat, sailed to the end of the earth, the best of the Africans, and they produced the Christ. On that boat was Orpheus. Well, let's go a little further. If you get the two Jason and the Argonauts, 1963 and 2000. And in the one in 2000, Orpheus, who played the lyre, was what color? Black. Same guy that played in, what's the name of that movie? With John Travolta, he's playing Bill Clinton. Remember that? Kimberly. What was the name of that movie John Travolta played Bill Clinton? Primary Colors. Was a black guy in Primary Colors. He was also in Day After Tomorrow. Real, you know, funny looking black guy. You know. That guy played Orpheus, a messiah figure of music. So therefore, this is why they had to start killing off these particular entities. The mystery here is the music. It wasn't a physical person that was going to be the Messiah, which they would kill these ones off. But remember, there's a book called The Messiahs of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and in there they talk about that the Jews know, I'm talking about the Israelis, taking and studying our mystical text, that there's about damn near 15 types of Messiahs. Messiah, there's a priest Messiah. Just about everybody who got a vocation in the world or supposed to be these people in exile is a form of the Messiah. So the Messiah is not just one person. And in earlier books printed in the 1960s, the white people in the occult world say the Messiah means a whole race of people. That can be a figure that you can line up behind, but it means a whole race of people. And there's a book called Messiahs of the Dead Sea Scroll, and they got damn near 14 damn Messiahs. So this is a Messiah. A Messiah is one who inspires. Now, why is it that the guy Tyreek, they had the MTV Cribs, and they go downstairs in Tyreek's house, and he got Biggie at the damn Last Supper, Tupac, Aaliyah, who else he had? Left Eye, and in the middle, he had who? He had Marvin Gaye with the thorns, the crown around his damn head. See what I'm saying? And Marvin Gaye said it. That I said, well, damn, why did they take you out? He said, I was getting ready to take this shit and do a whole nother love music with this thing. He had already started with that tantra thing. But they say that he's able to, this word right here, they said, there's one of these words they say, he could be incredibly sensual without being lewd, which means he was able to couch in his sensuality, in his music, a spiritual aspect, and they studied it, a spiritual aspect of his whole essence in the music that could raise the people up and don't even have to be lewd. And I believe personally, I've come to the conclusion that this is the motherfucker that got him killed. This right here. You. I think this is the one that got him killed.
You said the right way.
Huh? The right way. I think, and now it's interesting here because he did the sexual healing. They was like, that's enough. This nigga got to go. You see what I'm saying? This nigga got to go. Now, where am I going with? What does this have to do? I'm asking you to worship Marvin Gaye. No.
What's the name of that album?
I want you. Shit. and be aware, because his producer is Leon Ware. One of the greatest producers. If you ever get into his shit, he made one in 1982. It's a Leon Ware album. And in this album, he's talking of one of the musical messiahs. Oh, that was one of his songs. Well, it's interesting. He did another album where he was talking about he and this woman hooked up in this love. And he said, whatever it was, they met each other in this incarnation, but they had been bouncing around in other incarnations throughout life, barely missing each other. And then he said, it's deeper than love. It's written in the wind. So love don't encapsulate some aspects or some essence of what you really got. You can be in love, but then again, when you start, this is when you know you're connecting. When your woman start finishing your sentences, that's when you tapping into a whole nother realm. You see what I'm saying? Finishing your sentences. Now, big as I am, Linda comes down here, and she'll eat 2 or 3 bites and get full. You gotta take a doggy bag home. Now, shit, that's against my motherfucking religion. But within 3 months, I can barely eat my damn food. And gotta take a doggy bag home, and it's been that way ever since. You see what I'm saying? That's because you merging into a whole nother realm. So he wrote a book, he wrote a song called Deeper Than Love. So Leon Ware is one of the actual people, is one of the, I got about 5 of these. Leon Ware is one of the actual people, and Ernie Barnes did this particular painting. Is one of the people, but this is, I believe this is his greatest. You know, I mean, well, you know, what's going on and stuff, but I think this shit right here, I think this thing here, it took it to another level. This thing right here, because see, the reason why I say that is because it was a double team. Leon Ware, who had wrote I Want to Be Where You Are for Michael Jackson, If I Ever Lose This Heaven for Quincy Jones, Inside My Love, Minnie Riperton, and that song Take Your Ass to Another Planet. Teamed up with him, and they said, when it was writing it, something eerie happened. Marvin Gaye said, he wanted to produce his album. They told, so Motown said, no, we don't want you to produce the album. This is the 1976 album. They said, wait till the next year. That's what he did. The next 2 years, we did Hear My Dear. So they brought in Leon Ware. Leon Ware wrote this stuff and took it to Marvin, and Marvin was like saying, damn, it's almost like I wrote it myself. He said, that's a collaboration. Duke Ellington had that with Billy Strayhorn. You see what I'm saying? So the point I'm trying to make here is, this is one, but like I said, I mean, the man's a God on that particular level, but there's so many. You see what I'm saying? It's not like this is just an anomaly. There's so many. But the point I'm trying to make here is, now where am I getting at with this on this whole music thing? It's not necessarily to look for the actual artist. It's what you listen to in your own spirituality. It's in the music, and it don't have to be in the music in the future. It's already in the music that we have had. It can inspire the future. That's what sampling is. But we already got the classics, but you just got to tap into it. But you can't become so important till you don't listen to shit no more. And sit back and just chill and go into it. You see what I'm saying? You have to get into your muse. You see what I'm saying? You have to get into your muse. Y'all all right? Okay, let's go into some things. Let's go into some things here. It's interesting here. The reason why I'm saying this, because this is the 30-year anniversary this summer of this album, I Want You. And they put out the dual compilation of alternative music that was produced in that album in 2003. Now, didn't you say that Leon Ware said something about what happened when they produced that album? Yeah, when they produced it. You said Leon Ware, they went to Europe because he lived in Europe. Now, he said something about, what did he say? Yeah, no. Right, but the part of what he said where they had to go and do some whole lot of sexual stuff.
Oh, that part.
Yeah.
They said in the studio, they had women coming up in the studio
Mm-hmm.
doing orgies, and Marvin would masturbate before he would go on the mic. In the studio, he would masturbate.
He opened up that sexual channel. That's the Bacchanalian realm, Dionysus. See, Dionysus, Pan, who is also the god of music, his father Dionysus. Dionysus, Shiva, Osiris, Pan, it's all the same Horus energy. And Pan is one where they had strong drinking wine, and they had orgies and all of that, orgiastic rites. Get Robert A. Johnson's book, Ecstasy. The little small book to come off with on that, Robert A. Johnson's book. There's several books on Dionysus, but that's a good one to start off with on Robert A. Johnson's book. But they was doing that Dionysian and that Bacchanalian stuff in the studio while it was when it was right before they go and do the songs. Now ain't that a bitch? You see? So going back to this office, here's a book called. I got this book out of New York, out of East West Bookstore. But I saw it in Borders, in the Greek section. It's called Orpheus and Greek Religion by W.C.K. Guthrie, G-U-T-H-R-E, G-U-T-H-R, Orpheus and Greek Religion. In this particular book here, they talk about this god Orpheus that they used to worship in the ancient world, which now is translated into stuff where they know, well, this is the one that got on the boat and came to America. What's that? Mm-hmm.
You know, Orpheus is the father of Morpheus. Orpheus is the father of Morpheus is the father of sleep. That's what we get. Morpheus.
That's right.
Now we take it back to the main.
Yeah, I was getting ready to go there because it's right in my damn notes here. Orpheus and Morpheus, the god of sleep. Now, Morpheus, the god of sleep. Oh, you got 1 minute. 1 minute. Morpheus, the god of sleep, is in India. Shiva is the god of sleep. So all ties in. The god of sleep is also Shiva. You see, we got a lot of stuff to cover here today. So we're going to change the date. I want you to go. Well, remember I was talking about competition, the European competition. See, everything is spiritual. Get a movie called Friday Night Lights. Might have seen this shit? Friday Night Lights, and to show you the seriousness of white people in that football. Where they had one boy, his father was a football hero. He wasn't as talented, and the father was hating on him big time. But they showed something in the movie. They had two black guys. One black guy was getting ready to go to the pros. They was scouting him, and he was arrogant as shit. There was another guy that was humble, and they were showing this about humility. The guy in the first game of the year, he was running all over people and stuff. They took him out, They put the other guy that was supposed to have been a sophomore or either a junior, they put him in, but he couldn't find his helmet, and the other damn, the nigga was going to pro, ran back out on the fucking field, you know, ran back out on the fucking field and fucked his damn knee up. And then the one that was humble turned into a superstar. Turned into a superstar. The point I'm trying to make is they talk about that same era, but there's a lot of shit that went on in that movie. But it's still talking about that European competition. You got to get that movie, Friday Night Lights. It's interesting. Now, there's a movie. Remember now, you had The Matrix 1, which was the bomb. 2 was good. It was the first one, but it was good because we knew it was the middle movie, and we was waiting on the final finale. So Matrix 2 was good, especially when they had that African dance thing going on. Matrix 3 came out, and they traded more of the revolution. They traded more on the war scene and not enough on the spiritual thing. And then do the old punctified Jesus down on the cross shit. Horus don't come to die on the cross. Osiris died. This was not the age of the dying God. They even had his woman to die. You know what I'm saying? Of course, Marvin Gaye's daughter shot up some people's ass down there in the war, which was good. And I wonder why they put Nona Gay up in there. See what I'm saying? Everything is everything. And white folks know, hey, get the energy. But 3, although they had, the 3 was a letdown because you would think that Neil would have went to a whole nother level and become the Horus figure, and he didn't. He just died so y'all can live. That same old jive ass shit. The key here is there's a movie you gotta get called Renegade. It's a movie, and it's a movie set in the Old West. And this guy goes through a transformation. It's a long ass movie. When he goes through the transformation, he'll meet up with the Native Americans, and they give that nigga some shit to drink, some mushroom or whatever, some elixir, and he goes in. And whatever Neil was supposed to do on the 3, this boy does in this, because when you see it, you go into meditation. Man, I saw that shit, man, and they show the chakras, the third eye, they show the transformation, and at the end, because Juliette Lewis is his woman in the movie, and they show her in the water, and her legs is gap wide open, although they put a whole hairy bush down. It was supposed to be the West. They didn't shave nothing in the West. But they put the hairy bush down there so they wouldn't show the vagina, and they can get away with it. But her legs was wide open, and she was wiggling like the Great Mother, and this guy went to the Great Mother at the end of this damn movie, and the ship was out of this world. It's called Renegade. And it was an all-star movie. They did it. They made the shit. They didn't even try to put it. They didn't try to put it in the major theaters. You see what I'm saying? But it's on, and some brother sent me this thing from New York City. You know, you got to see this thing. It's called Renegade. It's off the chain. You see. But you can probably get it at Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, but go looking for it. If you can't, we'll make access. We give you access to it. But it's called Renegade. Now, I was talking about the Egypto-Gnostic Jesus, the ancient Gnostics, which is Horus. This is interesting. The Gnostics was was a later-day Egyptian. The word Coptic means later-day Egyptian. And they took the god Horus and refashioned him into their form of Horus in their particular day, which was, it was still 2,000 years ago, but it was a later day compared to 3, 4, 5, 6, 10,000 years of Horus and Osiris. So they put the Egypto-Gnostic Jesus, or the Jesus of the Gnostics, you see, they fashioned this particular one, and this is where Christianity get their stuff from. Now, isn't it interesting that the Gnostics that still live, they found the ones that still live in an unbroken chain from ancient Egypt. And the Gnostics that still live live in Iran and Iraq. A group of Gnostics, which is later-day Egyptians, live in Iran and Iraq. And they got tattoos and different things of Coptic symbols and stuff, and they still practice the stuff. And they live in Iran and Iraq, and some of them also live in Pakistan. Every place they had a war. You got to ask yourself, what's going on? You see. Now you get the Nag Hammadi Library. It's a book by James Robinson. The Nag Hammadi Library. It's a must-have. They still sell it. And in there, they got a chapter called the Tripartite Tractate. Tripartite Tractate, something like that. And there's some shit that's in it that's very advanced. They say that the white boy didn't even know what he was even doing when he was translating it. He just translated it. But it's very advanced, and you need to study this stuff. It's the Gnostic Scriptures by James, edited by James Robinson, and there's some stuff in there called the Tripartite Tractate. Get that. There's another chapter in there called the Apocryphon of John, which goes, it can be on one page, it can go from one page, and it can literally go for 10,000 years in one page. When you flip one page, you're in one part of the era, and the next page, you're 10,000 years in the future. This is some shit that was written by the Egyptian priest. You see, and then later on translated into Coptic, but get that particular text. But it's just interesting that there's some stuff that's actually still going on in this still going on in Iran and Iraq. There's another movie out called Descent, and it's a movie about some white people go hiking. It's made in Europe, and they go down into a cave. When they go down into a cave, they go down to another mutated strand of white folks. They're blind and they can't even see. They like bats and stuff, but they can hear sounds and stuff, and they eat people, cannibal-like. And it's called Descent. This is the part 2. They always do stuff and they make part 2. Remember the movie that came out, The 13th Warrior? Anybody saw this movie? And they went and they had these white folks living in the caves. Well, this is part 2 to the movie, which they talk about this mutant type thing that is so low it's an animal. Now, don't think that they make a movie and there ain't nothing true about that, because I know people who worked for white folks in Europe, and when they was over there, they saw all kind of animal-like people locked up in houses. They got rooms in the attic, and up under this thing, they got all kind of mutated white folks locked up in houses and shit. And you gotta push the damn food under the door. You see, there's some shit going on. And get the movies called Descent. I say, you see, they make these movies, they send them straight to video. You should be able to. You saw that? Yeah, Descent. Get that movie. It's very key to get that movie. Now, going back, Henry Louis Gates was tracing the DNA from the Africans from Americans. African Americans back to Africa. They had a movie that came on all the brothers and sisters from the Caribbean. The French and British government traced a bunch of them, and they had a whole movie and traced their stuff back to Africa. The key here is that they're trying to make this link of this particular DNA that is inside of us that's mutating, and it's mutating every day. That's the Aiwass current. Now, let me get into this right quick. First of all, there's a guy by the name of Gershom Scholem, wrote a book called On Kabbalah and Its Symbolism. And in there he talks about a myth that they made a 1967 or 68 movie called The Golem. The Golem is a monster fashioned out of clay. You write, it's a statue fashioned out of clay, and you write some type of name and an inscription, and you put it inside of the actual clay monster, and the shit comes to life. You can't speak, which represents is deaf, dumb, and blind. It doesn't have a mind of its own, but it does its master's bidding. The golem is another ancient prophecy that came out of ancient texts, came out of Egypt and on into the Hebrew thing of the Hebrew sages, which was the black people that took those things out of the priesthood of On and the priesthood of Tahuti, and later on wrote the Torah and the different ones. And in that particular book, in there they talk about this golem. And this golem is a monster that has a master to give its instruction. And the monster has to do the master's bidding, but it can't talk, which means it's deaf, dumb, and blind, and it symbolizes an ancient prophecy symbolizing black people under the control of the white man. So he gives you an inscription, what is called education. Deaf, dumb, and blind mean that you have no mind of your own. You don't have a history of your own, so therefore you got to do somebody else's bidding based on the history they give you. And you might be able to get it, but the AFC and them old movies, they show this thing every now and then. They'll show the golem, or you can go get children's books, Hebrew children's book, where they talk about the golem. But the mystery of the golem, because they asked this question, well, what is this? You got all these ancient texts, and you got these spiritual things. What is this text about a golem doing in your stuff with your Torah and the rest of your stuff? It don't make no sense. It does make sense if you understand that they were talking about a futuristic state of a people being controlled by their masters through their own education, and somebody giving you their mind, and you like a dummy. I'll go in the army and I'll kill up somebody for Bush. Don't matter. He gave me my inscriptions. He gave me my instructions. My orders. And that's the golem. They got a whole section on it in the book called On Kabbalah and Its Symbolism by Gershom Scholem. And that's talking about us. Just like the Hebrew, just like the voodoo, when the voodoo, they had a whole history of the zombie.
They had Golem in Lord of the Rings. Yeah.
They had a golem? Oh, The golem, okay. See? Those are ancient tales that's talking about us in the future. And this golem, he is unstoppable, just like a nigger. He unstoppable unless they deprogram him and shut his ass down, recall his ass. See what I'm saying? Now, same thing happened with your boy, Joint Chiefs of State, Colin Powell. He made the case for war. He was unstoppable. They went over there and killed all them people. And then when he retired, that's like he was recalled. He came to his senses and came on Barbara Walters and said, I'm ashamed. I made the case for war and there wasn't no weapons, and that's a stain on my career. But he was under the spell of the golem until he was able to reflect. But you can't reflect because you got a career, and the career is under the spell of the golem. The other spell of the golem is materialism. You're so busy running behind materialism, that's the spell of the golem. The Jews say, we got you. You say, no, I'm like Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad. I don't separate my white people. You see, that Jews, all of them, they got you. But we are under their system, the system of competition. You see what I'm saying? You don't think it's a monster thing? Look at the movie, look at the TV show Fear Factor. They'll do anything. Shit, that's under the golem. And we got to break the spell of the golem. And that's the mystery of this thing. And they got children's books on the golem. And we made one movie, but they got in the ancient mystical text on this thing, and it's talking about a scientific way on how you can control the minds of a people. And although they put it in the mythology of a monster, you don't make the connection. You think it's a clay monster, but don't they say we made out of clay? You ever hear that in even the Egyptian Ptah fashions man on his potter's wheel? And in the Bible, they talk about clay. They talk about humans being under the spell. Just like in the voodoo, they talk about the zombies. The zombies was not talking about a person that somebody did some magic on. They were talking about a group of people. And that's what this golem thing is. Ain't that somehow that's coming up? You know how that's coming up? You know what I'm saying? And like I said, that movie that came out, Antitrust. And then that movie, Richard Roundtree goes and asks for a glass of water, and they give that nigga a mayonnaise jar. But that's what it needs to do to niggas. When they say you got to go around the back in the South. You ask for some water, and they will keep a bunch of jelly jars and mayonnaise jars for you to drink out of, because they don't want niggas drinking out of their nice glasses. And as a result, in our psyche, I have gone to black people's families down south, and the only glasses they had that they drank from was mayonnaise jars and jelly jars. I'm telling you, I knew a motherfucker had about 35 sets of them shits. I'm like, goddamn, nigga, you need to get a goddamn job washing these shits out of craft. You know? Just full of jelly jars. I'm like, do you have one glass? Hell, I'll take that paper Pepsi cup up there. You know what I'm saying? But they showed it in the movie. Richard Roundtree was a part of the government, and he was working for the man. He was working for the white man. He was working for a Bill Gates character who was ruling the world like the Illuminati. He was working for him as one of the Boule members. And even when he went to them white people house, and he was young white people just starting out, they gave that nigga a jelly jar, and that nigga drunk out of it. They gave him a mayonnaise jar. And they ended up drinking out of superior crystal vase and all kind of shit. Later on, when they got a little money, about 2 years down the road, and they gave that nigga Richard Round. It's always a ritual. But the golem, we are being controlled by the golem and stuff. Somebody have their blueprint in us. And all you got to do to break it is you got to denounce all shit that they got you here saying you might need, but the bare necessities. You know what I'm saying? But the damn bare necessities. You know. Break the shit. Go get you some lemon fresh joy and wash your dishes, then take it in the bathroom and wash your hair with the shit. Because the Consumer Report says that the biggest ripoff in the country is shampoo. So you can wash your shit with a mild dishwashing liquid. You see what I'm saying? So my point is got to break the damn programming. The spirit come through, but the programming here is somebody else program of what you think success is. And that's why you all depressed and shit, because you ain't adding up for somebody to program you. You see what I'm saying? Or say, I know it's got to be this way. You see what I'm saying? You got dreams of somebody else's fucking aspirations and somebody else's program. So you got to ask yourself, is green green? Is yellow yellow? You see, how do we know? So this is interesting here. Moving right along. In the Kabbalah, the process that we're talking about now, that we're going through, is the Tikkun Process. That is the whole DNA thing that the Jews and all of them are doing Kabbalistically. They're looking for the DNA, but they're looking for a process that we're going through called the Tikkun. The Tikkun is equivalent to the Egyptian Mayat. But Mayat is not behavior and whether you righteous and all that old stuff there. That's to this very there's levels. The neophyte think it's righteousness. You know what I'm saying? I pinched this girl on the ass, so the God's gonna come and slay me. That's the neophyte. So you thinking it's righteous, and this is not talking about righteous as it's talking about ripe, balance, and order, but it's talking about the alchemical components of your inner workings of your body, and do you have the ancestral lineage to go through the process? And that's called the Tikkun. And that's what the Mayat period is. You see, the Mayat weighing of the hearts is the heart pulsation and blood. Now let me go into this right now so you can understand something before we go to this last little thing. Let me go into this thing right now. Right now. What's going on here? Last time we talked, I said that they're killing black people with this high blood pressure thing. Give you the high blood pressure medicine to bring down your blood pressure. And they cause you to stroke. You having all these strokes and stuff like this. Are we having this many strokes? But the point I'm trying to make here is, it ain't from the high blood. It's from some other shit. Your blood is supposed to be high now, so I'm gonna tell you what's going on here. I'm gonna show you this in the esoteric aspect. Now we know that they got this campaign to put you on this high blood pressure medicine to get your blood down, and then as a result, they got to give you what they normally used to put you on some high blood pressure. They got to give you as much as 5 different types of high blood pressure to get your blood down, because they're trying to stop the flow of the gods. Now, in the esoteric traditions, Aiwass Budge put out a book in 1906 called Egyptian Heaven and Hell. They put out one, and Dover Publishing Company only published 1 volume for most of the 20th century, but they didn't put out the other 3 volumes until 1996, 10 years ago. These vignettes of these regions, and you see them Egyptian gods on the walls, and then they show these, the person has to descend in several hours of the night till he gets to where he's going, this doorway of illumination. Those are talking about things that's going on inside of our body. And it's not necessarily talking about going on inside your body. If you decided to do this master path and do all the meditation and slap yourself on the ass and flog yourself and not eat no food and breathe and all that kind of thing, and maybe you can get through the second hour. No, this ain't talking about this. This is talking about the lineage of a people. It's talking about the lineage of a people and where a people is going based on your progress in your evolution. It's the evolution of a people called the Horus lineage. Now, a part of that evolution in the Book of the Gates is a section called the Second Aru. And the Second Aru is named after the goddess Sekhmet, and it's called Fields of Blood. It's talking about the status of the blood in a human people, in a human development of a human people in the future. And what your blood got to go through. And your blood is being commanded by what? Your heart. And your heart chakra. That's what this thing here lines up. The Sri Yantra lines up the heart chakra. Now, the second Aru, let me see if I got something on it. Let me see if I got something on the second Aru. See if I can find something on this thing here. It's very key. This has got something to do with the, so we, God damn it, it's great now, because not only do we have an Egyptian text, we got something that black people are going through all over the country we can put our hands on, and if you look at it the right way, the white man is not concerned for your health. He's concerned of the state of what your body is going through with the second Aru. The second Aru also is technological. This light I can barely see. It's interesting how I'm going through a transformation. I had 20/20 vision, and then all of a sudden, and I don't know, maybe this is, I don't know, you can tell me whether this is going to blind or not. I can read something on that back wall, but I can't read nothing up close. Is that a part of the shit?
Look at that small writing in front of me, and especially if I got light. If I got light on it, I can see it great.
Mm-hmm.
But if I look at it long enough, at first I was going, these glasses too, but look at it long enough, they just focus right up.
I'll tell you, since I've been having these sparks shoot from my hand, I can't see nothing up close, but I can see it way off. And when I was reading that I had to struggle to read this Marvin Gaye. I couldn't see shit. I think I made up a couple of words just to get through the bitch. Because I couldn't see the shit. It's a vibration, but it's got something to do with They talk about this, that these two eyes are a cheat, and they work with the matrix. And what it is now, I can see something way back there. It means that just some stuff is locking. If the matrix is fading away, and this stuff is not locking into the matrix. And what it is now, you will be able to do it, but you got to get an adjustment. You got to do something to adjust it. So I put on some reading glasses the other night and read a paragraph, and I took them off, and then I could read again. Regular. So it's got something to do with the matrix. See what I'm saying? Now, it's the matrix busting like that, and they say that the matrix is controlled by these two eyes, which is a cheat. Remember now, these two eyes, the sight comes from the inner ear melanin. Before there was sight, there was sound. You see what I'm saying? And I guess that's why a woman likes to have sex in the dark. You know, man, I'd be wanting to look at some titties or something. We are visual people, which means that we are more in the matrix. That's why we are ruled by physical attraction. And we miss the goods when it comes to the sisters, because we so hell-bent on physical attraction, and that's most stuck in the matrix. Me, I be like, no, it's too black, and you got to put something, put a little candle, or put a little light on or something. I want to see some shit, you know what I'm saying? Maybe some ego shit. Maybe I want to see some stuff. I want to see some activity going on with this thing here and shit. But I found out once you start looking, that's when you fuck around and bust a nut. See, if you go on about your business, and slow down and get into the darkness, you can go all damn night. You start looking at the body and start looking at this and shit, and it's an ego thing. But like, God damn, I can't believe this shit here, man. Look at this. The next thing you know, you be done. So maybe the women say, go in the dark type thing here or whatever and stuff. So it's got a lot to do with the whole matrix thing, and I think that's why brothers are locked down on that physical thing so much. You see what I'm saying? But I knew I was out of the matrix when I had my excursion with the 13 sisters. I knew I was out of the matrix when the imperfections in the body was more a big turn on. See what I'm saying? That was a big turn on. When I can't tell your breast from your stomach. It was like a turn on. It was like the great mother was going to another level because I wasn't programmed into the pedophilia of what they call the young girl complex, which they show on TV all the time. All of them look, it's like a cookie cutter. All of them got to look the same damn way. You see? But the point I'm trying to make here is, we are controlled by that physical matrix. You see what I'm saying? That physical matrix. It's got some power to it. Now, you ride down the damn street and somebody got a booty that stick, you know what I'm saying? And all this kind of thing here, many a cars done been wrecked. Now, the second rule is a technical designation denoting electromagnetic fields which lie in the object are adjacent to the tunnels of Set. Now, let me break this thing down here. The second rule is some blood in a blood system. This is some dynamite shit here I'm talking about. So I got to get this thing here. It's your blood in the state of your blood pumping through your veins, which is the Red Sea, and it lies adjacent to the tunnels of Set. Now, the tunnels of Set is called the Kalipoth. We live in universe A, which is called the Sephra in Kabbalah. The back of the tree, which is the tree of life, the back of the tree of life is called the Kalipoth, which is called in Egypt the tunnels of Set. This is universe A, which is the matrix. Universe B is the Kalipoth, which is outside of the matrix and where we are going. So, according to the Egyptian mythology, the second Aru, which is fields of blood connected to the goddess Sekhmet, lies adjacent to universe B. That's the afterlife. That's the hereafter. Now let's break this shit down on straight up Sunday go to meeting terms. There's heaven, and then there's your blood that is reacting based on the dimensions are coexisting at the same time. The white man knows it. They call it second aru. Your blood system is reacting based on the heaven realm, which is existing at this particular time. Well, how do we know it's existing? Because they got niggas on 5 different medications trying to slow this shit down. So where's the heaven realm? Your blood is only being directed by what? The heart and the heart chakra. You have a regular heartbeat, it's the same heartbeat that is the rhythm of the planet. The animals are on this, and everything else is on this. Then there's a heartbeat that is given to you by your soul. Because let's cut to the bullshit. Your heaven is nothing but your soul. Your soul is another universe in where you live. In the fucking story. The only God there is your soul. That's heaven. Your soul emits vibrations, which is the Aiwass current, and vibrations to the heart chakra, and the heart chakra is the energy that replaced the regular heartbeat with the divine heartbeat that gives the blood flow a faster pace. And that's called a second aru. We are in the shit right now as we speak. Now it's linked to the cycles and the equinox. So spring equinox gonna be a whole nother shit. See what I'm saying? Summer solstice, that's when the god Horus goes into the house of Osiris. There's a book explaining all that called The Message of the Sphinx by Graham Hancock and Robert Bouval. And they say Horus starts on a journey to his father's house, Osiris. Osiris means the physical body. Horus is the soul, the Ba. And he takes the journey, and in the summer solstice, midsummer, he enters into his father's kingdom. Well, according to the Mayan calendar, which is not 2012, a couple of years ago, because the crackers know damn well that the calendar been off hell. It's fucking at least 2009 in the Japanese year. The Chinese year was